Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another There Can Be Only One video. And what is today's theme? Well, it's the 4th of July. It's Independence Day here in America. So, of course, it's There Can Be Only One American-made knife. These are really hard for me to do. The basic format is I lay out between 10 and 12 knives. There's 12 right now. And I just go through and eliminate them one by one until I get down to one. And it is very, very painful for me. You guys really like watching them, but these are my babies. And it doesn't, the one I pick as number one doesn't even mean necessarily that I think it's the best or even necessarily my favorite, but it's like if I could only have one and use it for everything all the time. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind, once you get down to the top like 3, that's what really matters. The number one, if you ask me tomorrow, it might be a different one. It's usually that close. It's usually that difficult. So do keep that in mind as we go on. Yeah, these are torturous. I don't know why I chose to do this to myself on a holiday, but here we go. First of all, I'm just going to go through the knives, give you approximate prices. I'm not going to remember exactly on all of them, but we'll get through it. And then at the end, I'm gonna pick one as my only one. So here we go. We have the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. This is the Maximet version. It is the most expensive. It's a $230 one, but it is my favorite. Not only do I like the gray G10, Maximet is awesome. Keeps an edge forever and ever and ever. I do have kind of a theme. I have most of the Spyderco Maximets. I'm missing a native 5 Maximet. And probably, honestly, not going to get one. But I do like having the Maximet ones. When I do size comparisons, they match. But, yeah, the old PM2 is still my favorite U.S.-made Spyderco. I like some of the Taiwanese ones a little bit better, but it's still my favorite American-made Spyderco. So it still goes in here. The Manix 2, I always say that sometimes I prefer it. But then at the end of the day, when I have them both, I still find myself carrying this more. So I don't know. Emotionally, maybe Manix 2 I prefer, but as far as what I actually carry is PM2. Anyway, we've gone way on too long for that one. Next up, the Microtech Socom Elite. You will see that I have a couple of companies known for autos, but I don't have their autos in here. Autos don't last very long in these, so I just didn't bother putting any autos in here because I had to trim the list down. I was going to put one manual and one auto from each company, but it was too many naffs. So yeah, this is the Socom Elite, about $290 if you can find one. They're fairly hard to get your hands on. They're not ridiculously hard unless you're really picky about the configuration, which I was. So this took a long time. This is the manual Tanto. I have had the auto. I do prefer owning the manual. I liked the auto a lot better than I thought I would, but still, I prefer it. Very tactically, but I always enjoy that noise. That noise never gets old. Next up, we have the Spartan Blades Harsee folder. This is the big one, not the 3.25. Again, small knives don't last that long in this, so that's why I did not put that on here. This is an older S35VN one. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to try and pretend in my mind that it's one of the new S45s instead of the 35. These are about $460 to $500, depending on if you get the coatings or not. Mine's a bit of a hybrid. It has the DLC coated handle, but the stonewash blade. I just asked nicely, and Spartan did that for me. So I do love this knife a lot, though. Super smooth and just kind of becoming a kind of timeless design, honestly. Next up, we have the American Blade Works Model 1 V6. This is the newest knife on this list. They've made the Model 1 for a little bit now, but the V6 is the new one, and it is the one that they're going to be sticking with. S35VN, $185, a little bit more for this carbon fiber version. They have finally dialed it in. They made a lot of changes, inline changes over the years, but this is the one now, and it is fantastic. Great ergos. We'll talk more about it a lot, I'm sure. I expect this one to go pretty far. We will see, because I've been carrying the snot out of it. Next up is the Reeve Sebenza 31. Now, in my last There Can Be Only One period, like out of my whole collection video, I did the Inkosi Tanto, which is the same configuration as this with the micarta handle and micarta inlays. I wanted to change it up a little bit, and it actually won. That, by the way, that Inkosi Tanto, I did say at that time for There Can Be Only One. But again, ask me tomorrow. I'm not sure I would have picked the same, but I still love it a lot. I got this, intended to sell one of the two, and I haven't. I like having them both around, so I do still have the Sebenza. So I put the Sebenza in this one because it is a Sebenza. It's just kind of cool. to have a Sebenza. A lot of us, depending on when you got in the knife hobby, it was probably like one of your first like Grail knives. And it is just an awesome, awesome knife. I expect this to go pretty far as well. Next up, one I don't feature on the channel much anymore, but I still love a lot. I still think it's the best thing ZT ever made. Zero Tolerance 0562 tie. About $280. Oh, this is about $450 in basic form. This one's $550 with the inlays. $280, and I still think it's the best thing that ZT has ever made, partly because it's a Hinderer design, and I like Rick Hinderer stuff, but also it's got the right amount of weight to it without being a total tank. The action is fantastic. Uses basically what Hinderer would call the slicer grind, which is one of their better grinds, and nice deep carry clip, which you don't get on a real Hinderer. I like the look of it. Actually, it's even lighter than the carbon fiber version because the titanium is so milled out. Again, makes a great sound. That matters a lot to me. So this is also in the running. Now, the next one, of course, is a Hinderer. I know you guys said, somebody joked around. I told somebody yesterday on the live show I was going to do this. And somebody said, oh, it's going to be 30 minutes of Brian talking to choose a Hinderer. I don't know if that's what your voice sounds like. I apologize if it doesn't. Maybe not, but of course there's going to be a Hinderer. It is the XM18 Skinny 3.5 inch. I don't like the 3-inch Hinderers. They don't fit my hands well. I like the non-flippers, but those are really hard to find. This is a DLT exclusive with no choil. So it is very similar to the general layout of the ZT 0562 tie. So we'll see if that's going to hurt the ZT or not. It might. But this one has aftermarket scale and brand new filler tab from Sharp Dress Knives. Yes, they're not stock Hinderer upgrade parts. I know sometimes people get really upset when you don't use Hinderer factory parts for your upgrades. They don't make a lot for the Skinny. It's kind of just what I had to do. If I could get the stock micarta for the Skinny, I would do that, but I cannot. So I get Sharp Dress Knives. They do amazing work. But yeah, my favorite Hinderer to carry around all the time. I don't know if it's my favorite Hinderer period, but it's definitely my favorite one to just EDC. Next up, again, another company known primarily for automatics, but I had to pick the Malibu from ProTech. It's just a great freaking knife. About $200. Oh, this is $425, and then there's some parts added to it. I'll try and remember the prices better. I apologize. I'm already getting nervous. This is the ProTech Malibu, about $200. Again, fairly hard to get your hands on at the moment. They did just do another drop of them. I know a whole bunch of people got them, but this is the blue one with a reverse Tanto. There's also a Warncliffe blade, but that smooth action gets it on here all by itself because it's just that button lock is just so much fun, and I really like it. So the Malibu is definitely on the list. Next up, the TRM Atom. I did debate a bit. I tried to just do one from each manufacturer because what's the point of putting two from one manufacturer when you just know you're going to eliminate one anyway? And again, the list was getting too big. I like the Shadow a lot as well, but I still think the Atom is my king. I still like the Atom a lot. 3.5 inch blade, very, very slicey. Love the ergos on it. This is currently running on the I can't remember the name of them now. Wood Tech, something like Techwood scales. These, I don't know if they've made these for a while, but they're beautiful. I love the little multi-layer and stuff, but I have multiple other scales for it. It's kind of cool that you can change outfits on it like a Barbie doll or something, so I do like that a lot. This one is extremely well broken in and very, very smooth, and I likes it a lot. Next up, unsurprisingly, you see this on here because it's been kind of the darling of the interwebs. This is a Demco 8020. This is the actual one made in Pennsylvania, not the new 20.5 that's made in Taiwan. This one is 3V steel machine ground one. It's not the super expensive one. So this is, I think, $485, if I remember the price correctly, G10. I wish it was a full titanium, but I have not managed to get my hands on one of those yet. I will someday. But shark lock, super fidgety, and just a lot of fun. Had to be on the list, obviously. Next up, Benchmade. I had to pick a Benchmade. You got to put a Benchmade here, and I thought I initially reached for my 940-1, but I was like, wait. You know what? I think I carry my Super Freak a lot more. And yeah, that is true. This is the M4 steel Super Freak with the beautiful contoured kind of handles on it. I just think it's a great looking freaking knife. It's the only thing here with a coated blade, but it suits this. It's got that kind of Deadpool look to it, or Vader look to it, depending on what you want to call it. I like it a lot. Super smooth, axis lock, all that good stuff. And I think, yeah, this is my favorite Benchmade, so that's why it is on the list. So at least now you know, favorite Benchmade. And I think I did pick it. I think I did. There can be only one Benchmade, and I think this is what I picked. I don't know. If I'm contradicting myself, I apologize. I'm a human being. We're all living contradictions. And then lastly, a Kershaw. This is one I definitely not had on here for a long time. I actually got one back again, I don't know, 6-8 months ago. I haven't carried it much, but I did miss having one. This is the Bare Knuckle in 20 CV. This is my third one. I've bought and sold two and then got another one. So this is a Smoky Mountain Knife Works exclusive. I usually do not include exclusives in this, but Smoky Mountain Knife Works ordered a lot of these. They seem to be continuing to order a lot of them, and there are so many of them out there in the secondary that I still put it in. And honestly, even the base one in 14C28N probably still would have been on here. These are about $90. So this, by the way, a little under $200 for the Super Freak. And if I didn't say, I don't think I said for the Atom, 180. Something like that. Again, not being precise here. I'm already getting nervous. So here we go. Let's start with the hard part. Let's start eliminating things. These are usually where the surprises happen. First out. I think first out. Wow. Oh, down to 2. I'm going to eliminate 2 because it would just go bang bang, and I don't know which one honestly first. So I'm going to cheat a little bit, but it's going to be, believe it or not, the Malibu and the Bare Knuckle. The Malibu, just because it's just a bit too small for me to have all the time. It's still a good mid-size EDC folder. I love carrying it. I do use it a lot. It's a bit small. I like having at least like a good full, 3.5 and a bit more of a bulkier handle. And the Bare Knuckle, just because the pocket clip's a bit finicky, and I know that kind of annoys me sometimes when I'm carrying it. Yeah, I really expected this to go a long ways, but surprise, I'm getting rid of those 2. Where is my nice padded box to set these in? There we go. Next up, you'll be able to see a lot more of these knives as it goes on, by the way. I'll rearrange them. Next up. These are so tough. I knew this was going to be the hardest one. I'm not like hardcore, like have to have everything American made. I'll definitely buy knives from, China and Japan and Taiwan and all that stuff and Europe, but I do seem to gravitate more towards American-made knives, so I knew this one was going to be tough. Oh, golly gee willikers. I'm going to go with the Socom Elite. The tip down makes sense with this knife completely. It definitely does, but I know that... I would miss that sound so much, though. But I know that the way it carries, it's the widest part at the top, and it's kind of hard to get my hands past, and I know that does kind of bother me, and I think if this was my only knife I was going to have all the time. And it's... that noise and that look, it frightens... It frightens the constabulary. So, alert the church when you open that thing up. So, next up, what are we gonna do? This may just be a product of what I seem to be carrying lately. But no, I'm going to change my mind. Oh, monkeys. No, I am. I'm gonna. Yeah, I think it's just a product of what I'm carrying lately. I'm gonna get rid of the Atom. Just love so much about it, but I think I would want something a little thicker blade stock to have around all the time. I don't need it. I don't need thicker blade stock in my life, but I've never snapped a blade or come close to it. But yeah, the Atom. I feel genuinely sad about that. It's 4th of July. It's supposed to be a happy day. Now I've made myself sad. Let's rearrange some here. What are we going to do now? I feel like I'm playing a 3-card Monty. Oh, next up. Yeah, I'm going to go PM2. I still love the PM2. It's still great. It's still one of the all-time great EDC knives. But yeah, I can't say I've moved beyond it, but I've just, gotten to experience so much more stuff, and I still respect the PM2 for everything that it is, but I don't think I would live my life with just a PM2 anymore. So next. It's down to these two, I can tell you that. So you can see which two are, but I'm going to eliminate these in order. I'm not going to cheat and just do both at once. I'm going to pick one or the other. Kind of always knew the real Hinder was going to go farther, right? But this is still excellent. I'm going to go with the Super Free because we're down to the point now that I'm picking dumb reasons. And it's because it's a coated blade. If it was an uncoated M4 steel, these would probably swap, but I don't like coated blades, so that's how silly these things get. That's why it's getting eliminated. And now it would be the 0562 tie, only because there's a real Hinder. If this was like top, best American knives under $300, this would go a lot farther, but it is not, sadly. So yeah. Still like it, though. I did actually carry it the other day. I hadn't carried it in a long time. So now we are down to 5. Down to 5. I don't know. I have 2 in my mind, but I can't decide which one. I think both of which aren't what you'd expect. But I don't just want to go for the shock value pick. So, I feel like I'm in a fantasy baseball draft or something. I'm going to go 80-20. It's just big. And again, it's probably part of, one of these Ask Me Tomorrow things. It's the 4th of July. It's hot. This is shaved my fingernail a little bit there. I'm leaving that in. We're not editing it out. That was cool. That was a close one. Almost got myself. Be committal, even though there's a camera up on top of you when you flick the thing open. It's not because of that. The action is amazing on it. It's just because it's hot out. It's heavy. And I think especially right now, wearing lighter weight clothes and stuff. It's not that heavy for what it is. It's actually pretty reasonable, but it's big. It's bulky. It's kind of heavy. Not the best slicer in the world. Yeah. So much fun to play with, though, but this is just to use all the time. I have to take the fidget factor out a little bit, or the Malibu would probably still be in here. Next up with my shaved fingernail. I'll point to the next one with my shaved fingernail. Which one goes next? Which one goes next? I would say the Harsee for a fairly similar reason. It's still it's not as bulky as the 80-20, but it's still up there. Yeah. I wish this was made like instead of making a 3.25 and a 4-inch, I wish they just made like a 3.5. I would really love that, but Alas, they do not. The world is not fair. So we have the Sebenza 31, the XM18 Skinny, and the American Blade Works Model 1 V6. What's that? No, that's just schmutz. I had corrosion on my blade for a moment there that might have affected my decision, but no, it's just pocket schmutz. Have to do some handling here now. We're down to 3. Again, these are the 3 that matter. You know, like these are my favorite 3, and I feel pretty confident in saying that. For if I could have only one American-made knife in my collection, it would definitely probably be one of these 3, or maybe the Inkosi, but it's the same, you know, kind of thing. Just depends on which side of the Chris Reeve camp you fall on. Excuse me while I whip this out poorly. Taking the Sebenza away. I know. It's an icon. It's amazing. I don't think the Inkosi would have lasted any longer. I kind of figured it would come down to a Hinder and a Chris Reeve, but now there's the wild card of the American Blade Works Model 1 V6. I've really fallen for this knife. There is an air of, it's a new to me thing about it. I will preface that by saying this before I pick my winner. God, predictable Brian is predictable. I hate to be predictable, but I'm gonna go XM18 Skinny No Choil. I love so much about this thing. It just doesn't have that same solid clicky bang, and it's not quite as drop shutty, but I like the blade on it maybe even more, even though it's not as good a blade steel. As the, why am I talking about them with them closed? As the Skinny, but this, yeah, prefacing this as the Skinny. I would not, I think if this was against a regular XM18, I would probably pick the Model 1, which is pretty freaking high praise from me. I love this thing. I've been carrying the hell out of it the last few months, a couple months since I got it, 6 weeks, whatever it's been. I've been carrying it a lot. I said on a live show, if I didn't own a channel, that this is probably the one that would have been in my pocket the most. But part of it was that newness factor. I think after a while I would miss my skin. I did loan this to a friend of mine for a couple weeks, and I really freaking missed it, which is probably another reason why it's vaulted up higher here. I reached for it several times and didn't have it, and I missed it. So, yeah, by a surprisingly narrow margin. And yeah, if you don't have the finances to afford something like this, these are very reasonably priced, $185. It's like I'm saying, I'm not picking the best. I'm picking it could be only one from my collection, so do keep that in mind. If I was picking the best, price would be a much bigger factor. And this is a freaking bargain. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I definitely have not. Enjoy the rest of your 4th of July. Keep all your digits. I've been Brian. Have a good one.